Now, an international team of scientists working on a project in the United States say that they have discovered strong evidence for the existence of a new force of nature. They say that some subatomic particles, called muons, don't behave in a way predicted by current theories of physics. The British funders of the research say that scientists are on the precipice of a new era of physics. Our science correspondent, Alab Ghosh, has the story.
The theories of modern physics have given scientists a new understanding of how the universe works. But the current ideas aren't able to solve some of the biggest scientific puzzles, such as how the universe as we know it came into existence. Now, scientists at Fermilab, a particle accelerator just outside Chicago, have got a result that might take us a big step forward in answering those questions. They've been accelerating particles inside this giant ring close to the speed of light, and they found that they might be behaving in a way that can't be explained by the current theory of physics at the subatomic level.
We found that the interaction of a muon, which is a heavy electron with a magnetic field, is not in agreement with our current best theory of physics. And clearly that's very exciting because it potentially points to a future, new laws, new particles and new forces in physics which we haven't seen to date.
You've heard of electrons? Well, there are similar particles called muons, which are much heavier and spin like tops. In the experiment, they were made to wobble using magnets. The current theory suggests they should wobble at a certain rate. Instead, they wobbled faster. This might be caused by a mystery force that in turn was created by another, yet to be discovered particle. Scientists believe that there are four fundamental forces of nature. One for gravity, another for electricity, and two nuclear forces, which control the behaviour of atoms. Together, they explain the way the world works. But in recent years, astronomers began noticing things in space that can't be explained by the four forces, such as galaxies spinning faster than they should. And they can't explain why the stars and planets and everything on them, including us, exist at all. The new results suggest there might be a fifth force which could explain some of these mysteries.
I think it's quite mind-boggling, and they have the potential to turn physics on its head. We have a number of mysteries that remain unsolved, and this could give us the key answers to solve those mysteries.
Evidence for the fifth force has been growing. Just 2 weeks ago, researchers at the Large Hadron Collider just outside Geneva had a similar result.
The race is really on now to try and get one of these experiments to really get the proof that this really is something new. They will take more data and make more measurements and hopefully show evidence that these effects are real.
These very early results aren't definitive yet, but they are generating a lot of excitement about the prospect of a giant leap forward in our understanding of the universe.
According to a report in the Washington Post, an unusual number of blind birds have been found dead or dying around Washington, D.C. lately, and wildlife experts say they have no idea why. The animal control team at the Animal Welfare League of Arlington has since released a public service announcement about the increase in calls they've received over the past few weeks about such birds, reporting that most calls have either involved grackles or blue jays, but that they're seeing an uptick in other birds too. Other agencies have also reported similar issues. The birds look like healthy, normal young birds, but their eyes look like they're closed because they're having some sort of issue causing them to be blind and stay on the ground, which renders them unable to function and hence become sick and die. Experts think the birds might have possible neurological issues too. Some have swollen heads, others aren't able to walk very well. The report in the Post included a very sad picture of one such bird, which I will spare you.
Dark matter. It's the most mysterious substance in the universe. Little is known about it. Scientists are pretty sure it exists, but still don't know what it is. Now they have created the largest ever distribution map of dark matter in the universe, as our science correspondent Alab Ghosh reports.
Look up at the skies and you see stars. But this telescope in the deserts of Chile is able to see the universe as it really is, filled with a mysterious substance called dark matter. It can't be seen, but this instrument can detect dark matter by the way it distorts starlight.
This is a map of matter in the universe.
And that's allowed astronomers to produce this map of how it's spread across the expanse of space.
And suddenly it's there. And you think, wow.
So what is dark matter and where is it in space? Well, let's start off with our own sun. It's one of 100 billion stars that make up our galaxy, the Milky Way, which in turn is one of countless others throughout the universe. Dark matter permeates space, with galaxies like tiny gems on a tangled cosmic web. The bright areas are where dark matter is most concentrated, and it's here that galaxies form. But the map is not what astronomers expected. The matter should be slightly more clumped together. Instead, it's smoother than predicted by Einstein's theory of general relativity. It helps determine how the matter should have spread out after the Big Bang.
If the structures in this map are smoother than we expect them to be, which is what the results seem to hint at, it means that Einstein's theory is wrong. So you might think that that's a bad thing, that maybe, oh no, physics is broken, but for physicists it's extremely exciting because it means that we can find out something new about the way the universe really is.
Building on the work of Einstein, Carlos Frenk was among a group of scientists that developed the current model of cosmology.
Hearing now that there may be something not quite right with the theory, but it's very disconcerting, it's very alarming, and in a way frightening to see that maybe my whole life's work might crumble in front of me, but at the same time, it is immensely exciting.
Astronomers believe that we are at the start of a new revolution in cosmology that will give us a fuller understanding of how the universe began and how it will evolve.
What does the U.S. government know about UFOs? The Pentagon is releasing a report on that very question later this month. And suddenly, everyone from senators to scientists to presidents to journalists are talking seriously about a topic once thought to be more science fiction than actual science. NBCNews.com senior politics reporter Alex Seitz-Wald joins me now. And Alex, you've been reporting on the excitement around this upcoming Pentagon report, where everybody from scientists to people who you might typically think of as conspiracy theorists are celebrating the lift of what's called the truth embargo. About a third of Americans think we've been visited by alien spacecraft, according to a recent Gallup poll. So what are some of the people you spoke to expecting from this Pentagon report?
Yeah, Garrett. Well, first of all, what's not expected in this report is, spoiler alert, aliens. The U.S. government is not going to come out and say we've had contact with aliens. I'm very sorry. But what we're kind of expecting is basically a document dump from across the government of files that they've collected over about 2 decades from something like 120 different sightings of what is accurately described as unexplained aerial phenomenon. So these could be weather patterns, these could be camera optical effects, these could be potentially spy craft by foreign governments like Russia or China, that, you know, some new advanced technology that we don't know about, or potentially it could be aliens even. But basically what everyone is excited about, that I was really struck by, from the believers who, you know, think the aliens are here to the hardcore skeptics who spend their whole time debunking that stuff, is they think it's good that we're finally having this conversation in the open and we can try to understand these unexplained phenomenon, because so far this has just been not taken seriously. It's been totally ridiculed, even though we have people like Navy pilots, former CIA directors coming forward and saying, yeah, there are things that we don't really understand.
I had a very serious conversation with Marco Rubio about this in a Senate hallway not that long ago. You spoke to some scientists for this story too, who noted that some of our biggest scientific discoveries come from investigating things that were weird or misunderstood. I think the idea is that even if we don't get firm answers from the Pentagon, we can learn something by looking and by asking questions about all this, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That basically, science is a process of discovery, and to just foreclose an entire area of investigation and say there's no purpose in looking into that, that's not, how we learn anything. And you can go through the history of science and find all kinds of examples of this. Like, scientists didn't think meteorites actually came from space until the early 1800s, or naturalists coming back from Africa to, say, London in the, 1700s would talk about these animals with 15-foot long necks, and no one believed them. They were giraffes, of course. So the idea is, if we have more cameras, more sensors, we have all this new technology, if we use this, we might discover some really rare weather phenomenon or some rare Earth-based phenomenon that we don't know anything about, or some enemy, spycraft that we don't know anything about. And it's probably good if there's things that we don't understand to understand what they are.
Well, the truth is out there. It just may be mundane. Alex, Some of the people you spoke to are totally convinced that the government is covering up evidence of extraterrestrial life. Can you talk about the consequences of people thinking there's a government cover-up, and can a Pentagon report dispel the belief that this is a cover-up if people are convinced the government's lying about this anyway?
Well, to answer your second question, no. I mean, this is people who believe this are going to continue to believe this. But I think it's a really great question and a great point, because we're at a moment right now where conspiracy theories have gone totally mainstream, where distrust of the government is at an all-time high, and this is one place where the government has actually legitimately covered stuff up in the past. In the 50s and 60s, at the beginning of the Cold War, American civilians started seeing U.S. spy planes that they didn't recognize. And the government had an official policy where they would deny that what people saw. They would try to create ridicule around this. This is proven through declassified documents. So there has been in the past, at least, an actual government cover-up. It just wasn't covering up aliens. It was covering up secret American spy planes. So